Friends demanded we pay exorbitant costs for their extravagant gifts and dinners, but I refused, prioritizing family and finances instead. I'm a 29-year-old woman, married to my 35-year-old husband, and together we're part of a really tight-knit group of friends. Most of us are in our late 20s to mid-30s, with nearly everyone married or in serious relationships. Whenever birthdays roll around, there's always this unspoken tradition that the birthday person hosts a get-together and covers everything. That's just how it's always been, casual, easy, and honestly, a lot of fun. But things started changing about a year ago. Suddenly, for every birthday, someone in the group would create a new WhatsApp chat and announce, "Let's all chip in for this really expensive gift." And by expensive, I mean expensive: Hermes flip-flops, Formula 1 tickets, Gucci bags. The suggestion would be made so publicly that it felt very awkward, and a little bit scandalous, to say no. Even though it made me uneasy every time, my husband and I went along with it. It wasn't always comfortable, but we figured it was just part of the group dynamic. One year, for instance, we chipped in about €300 for my husband's best friend, Tom, to get him a €1,500 Formula 1 ticket. At that point, it felt okay. We rationalized it. We weren't exactly struggling financially and, in the back of our minds, we believe that what goes around comes around. But now, our priorities have shifted. We're already parents, trying for baby number 2, and to add to all that, we just opened our own business, completely self-funded from our savings. We're doing fine, but suddenly every euro matters a lot more. Everyone in the group knows about our situation, including Tom. We're not pinching every penny, but dropping hundreds on over-the-top birthday gifts just isn't something we can do comfortably anymore. A few weeks ago, it was my husband's birthday. One friend reached out and asked if I was going to open that usual WhatsApp group for a big present. I told them no, my husband didn't want anything extravagant, and we were perfectly happy to host our friends for a pool party, covering everything ourselves. Tom showed up with a really nice bottle of tequila worth around €100, and we were genuinely grateful. I have always been thankful for every gift, never measured or compared, just happy to celebrate. Fast forward 2 weeks, and now it was Tom's girlfriend's birthday. Tom, in classic tradition, created the group chat and announced she'd love a Gucci bag. This time, I just couldn't do it. I told my husband that I didn't want to participate in chipping in for the group gift, and he totally understood. We didn't say anything in the chat, but bought her a €120 massage voucher as a present instead. Her party was this glamorous affair at a really fancy, and undeniably expensive, beach restaurant. We were there, enjoyed ourselves, made it a point to help the birthday girl have the best time, and gave her our gift with genuine sincerity. Then, a few days after the party, Tom wrote in the chat that the dinner bill was €3,000 and people could chip in if they wanted. I immediately told my husband I didn't want us to pitch in for that either. We didn't choose the venue, we already gave her a personal gift. And with our finances under careful watch, it just didn't feel right. My husband completely agreed. Then Tom messaged my husband directly. He said he expected us to help with the dinner bill, since we hadn't participated in the Gucci bag gift. He called out our €100 gift, bringing up the fact that we'd chipped in before, especially for his Formula 1 ticket, and implied we were jerks for not pitching in this time. I genuinely don't get it. I have never complained about gifts we've received. I've always been thankful for every single thing, big or small. But suddenly, because we made the choice to adjust and do what works for us right now, we're being accused of being rude and ungrateful? It just seems so unfair. Update 1. We've been puzzling over who kept logging into our TV streaming service, one we pay nearly €280 a year for and use strictly to watch television from our home country here in Europe. It only allows 2 devices at a time, and lately, every time I tried to use our living room TV, I was suddenly logged out. It was driving me crazy. Turns out, the culprit was Tom. Apparently, a year ago, my husband logged into our account at Tom's place, and Tom had been using it ever since, piggybacking off our account without a second thought. I'll admit, I've never really liked Tom. There's this inexplicable bond he has with my husband, something I've never been able to wrap my head around, but out of respect, I tolerate it. So I guess now we're even. Looking back, it was almost funny. The bag Tom wanted would have cost €150 per person, so €300 in total, and while we probably should have made that clear, I never expected him to get his own back by watching all his favorite shows on our dime. For almost a decade, we've followed the same birthday tradition. The birthday person hosts everyone or treats the group to dinner, while the rest give gifts if they feel like it. Back in the day, we kept our celebrations at home. As time passed and our finances improved, we gradually shifted our get-togethers to restaurants instead of living rooms. Really makes you wonder who's getting the better end of the stick sometimes. Update 2. After reading all the messages and replies, my husband and I realized just how poorly we'd communicated with our friend group. We both agreed we should have been clearer from the start, so we decided to address it head-on. Together, we drafted a message for our group chat. Hi guys, first of all, we love you all. Just wanted to say we're no longer participating in the group gift tradition. With our growing family and the new business, we're trying to be more mindful with money. We'll always celebrate you in our own way. Thanks for understanding. I was honestly nervous about how everyone would respond, but most people were immediately kind and supportive. They even thanked us for saying something. Then, to my surprise, a couple reached out to us privately. They told us they've been dealing with IVF and have quietly felt overwhelmed and uncomfortable by the group gift tradition. Neither of them wanted to draw attention to themselves or have people ask questions, so they felt pressured to stay silent. They were really relieved we decided to speak up. Wanting to be thorough, my husband and I also reached out to everyone else individually. I was surprised by how many of them actually welcomed the end of the expensive tradition. Only Tom, his girlfriend, and another couple seemed less enthusiastic. That other couple, to be fair, said they preferred the group gifts because it was less hassle, but they were perfectly agreeable to whatever the group decided, and there was no drama from them. Tom and his girlfriend, though, didn't take it well at all. The next day, Tom texted my husband saying the message in the group chat felt passive-aggressive and that he thought we were throwing shade at him specifically. To add to it, Tom's girlfriend messaged me, suggesting that we should have told her privately that we don't have the money rather than putting it out there in front of everyone. She was upset that the tradition was over altogether. Trying to lighten the mood, I joked with her, "No problem, my birthday's coming up and I want a trip to Thailand for my whole family." She didn't even respond. Just to make sure nobody felt slighted, we sent Tom €200 to cover our share of the food and drinks for his girlfriend's birthday dinner. I hope that gesture might smooth things over. But today, when we spoke to them again, the situation became even more draining. Tom and his girlfriend told us that our decision not to do any group gift, or any gift at all, for my husband's birthday came off as condescending and inconsiderate, like we were acting better than them for not wanting gifts. According to them, it made life harder for everyone. That got to me because it couldn't have been further from our intention. All we wanted was to celebrate with our friends without putting financial pressure on anyone, including ourselves. In the end, we all agreed as a group to return to the old tradition. The birthday person hosts the group. Back when we were younger, that usually meant just breakfast, lunch, or dinner at someone's home, nothing big or extravagant. It always felt more comfortable, more personal, and a whole lot less stressful. After everything, everyone seemed relieved to be going back to that. As for Tom, my husband and I have finally decided to take a step back from him. This whole ordeal made it obvious to us, and even to others in the group, that nobody can say anything around Tom without worrying that he'll take offense. We're not angry. Honestly, we're just tired. We want to enjoy time with friends without feeling like we're constantly walking on eggshells. Update 3. Then the universe decided to serve dessert. One of our friends, Mara, had her birthday this weekend and did exactly what we all agreed on: a picnic in the park. Everyone brings something. She laid out blankets, a few simple decorations, and that was that. It was genuinely lovely. Kids running around, sun out, the kind of day where you forget to check your phone and the wine stays cold in the shade. Tom and his girlfriend showed up late. She waved, air kissed everyone, and plopped down next to me, the way people do when they want to show they're not bothered by anything. Somebody across the blanket asked where the Gucci bag was, lightheartedly, the way you do when you're making conversation. She laughed and said, "Oh, that?" I ended up returning it. The color didn't go with anything, you know? Conversations do this funny thing where they keep moving until they don't. Everything just paused for a second. You could hear the kids and the wind and nothing else. Mara, bless her, kept it cheerful. "Did you exchange it for another one?" She shrugged. "No, return. We'll get something else later." Another beat. Then Leo, who is blunt in the way only Leo can be, said, "Wait, but we all chipped in for that bag." "So? The money went back where?" "To Tom's card," she said, like it was obvious. "You have to refund the original card." At that exact second Tom materialized with his paper plate, like a sitcom cue. He sat down, clocked the mood, and went straight into it. "Guys, it's fine, I covered dinner with that anyway. It's all even." I don't know if it was the sun or the timing, but people didn't let that slide. Two friends immediately said they'd already sent him money for the dinner after the fact. Another friend added that she had the Revolut transfers on her phone and had sent for both the bag and dinner. Someone else asked for a receipt from the restaurant, which Tom didn't have on hand. It got tight and awkward, but civil. No shouting, just adults doing math. I didn't say a word. My husband didn't either. I only mentioned, when asked directly, that we'd sent €200 after the party to cover food and drinks, because we didn't want to seem petty. That's all. The picnic moved on, kids, cake, someone's Bluetooth speaker, but the air had shifted. By the time we got home, the group chat was already pinging. "Hey guys, can you share receipts so we can tidy up the numbers?" From Leo. "Tom, can you send the restaurant invoice?" From Mara. Tom sent a long message about people not appreciating all the organizing he does and how exhausting it is to manage other people's fun. Then the screenshots began. Transfers for the bag. Transfers for dinner. My husband scrolled quietly, and then finally typed, "You told us the €3,000 was optional. If the bag was returned and the refund was used for dinner, why were we asked to chip in for dinner again?" Nothing for an hour. Then Tom's girlfriend messaged me privately. She apologized. She said she didn't think it would blow up like this, she truly didn't like the bag in that color, and Tom told her he'd sort it out and that the money's all one pot anyway. She sounded tired. I believed her. At midnight, Tom dropped a photo in the group chat, a screenshot of a Gucci order confirmation. No receipt, no refund, just a product page with a price. Someone asked for the actual receipt with the return, and he wrote that he didn't know anyone his personal banking details and this was getting weird. The next morning, Leo posted a message that felt like a quiet gavel. If we're keeping it simple again, let's keep it simple. No more pooled gifts, no collecting, no reimbursements. If money has changed hands, we settle it now. Tom, please return anyone who sent for the bag and dinner. If dinner was covered by the bag refund, say so and send the overages back. 2 people left the chat. A new group appeared a few minutes later, same faces minus Tom and his girlfriend. No drama, just a door closing softly. In the new chat, Mara posted the restaurant invoice she'd asked the manager for. She'd called and asked for a duplicate because she had put the reservation in her name. The total was €2,180. Not €3,000. Not nothing. It explained why the numbers never added up. I don't know what conversations happened between other people and Tom after that, but by evening, transfers started pinging in. Small amounts, nothing like what went out, rounded down in a way that felt almost childish. I let ours sit. If he paid the others back, good. If he didn't, I was done keeping score. The part that actually mattered came later in the week. We had dinner with the couple who'd told us about IVF. They took out a little card and handed it to us like it was a fragile thing. Ultrasound photo. 9 weeks. I cried. My husband cried. It felt like the most human kind of full circle, no spreadsheets, no group chats, no scorekeeping, just a quiet, enormous joy at a simple table. We still see the rest of the group. We did a Sunday breakfast at ours and people showed up with pastries and jam and kids in pajamas. It felt like old times. Tom and his girlfriend haven't reached out since the picnic beyond a one-line enjoy your high horse text to my husband that he didn't answer. Update 4. I'm sorry, she said before she sat. I don't want to be in this. She put a Gucci shopping bag on the table. Empty. Inside it, a folded stack of A4 printouts and a phone charger cable tied in a neat loop. I'm moving out, she said, like she needed to hear herself say it. I found this on the desktop. You'll know what to do. It was a spreadsheet. Names down the left, dates across the top, amounts in a column called float. Notes like bag pending and dinner covered via refund. Leo's name, Mara's, mine, my husband's, everyone's. Little greens and reds like a Christmas tree. You know that metallic taste you get in your mouth when you're embarrassed for someone else? That. She didn't hover for tea. She didn't cry. She only asked that if we brought it up in the group, we didn't make it about her. He'll say I'm crazy, she said, raking her fingernail along the edge of the table. He always does. Then she hugged me, quick and bony, and left with just her keys. I sent 2 photos to my husband and then to the new group chat. No commentary. The spreadsheet and the line at the bottom right that read running total plus €1,460. A minute later, Leo wrote, got it. I'll reconcile. That's Leo. Tom must have had notifications on because my husband's phone lit up with his name almost immediately. First a call, declined. Then texts. This is private. This is out of context. You're fixing numbers to make me look bad. It was a lot of words for someone who didn't know anyone his personal banking details. He dropped a voice note, the kind you know is long before you even press play. We didn't. Mara, bless her, is a kindergarten teacher and knows how to talk to people who insist blue is green. She wrote, we're not fighting. We're closing out. Then she asked everybody to share what they'd sent him since January. Screenshots rolled in. Revolutes, SEPA transfers, little notes like for bag and dinner 20. Half of us had that same awkward emoji in the memo, like we already knew we shouldn't be doing it and wanted to soften it with a smiley. In the middle of it, my TV signed me out of the streaming app. I laughed. I actually laughed. I changed the password with a new one so aggressive it looks like I fell asleep on my keyboard. 30 seconds later, my husband got a text from an unknown number. Do you have the new login? No greeting. No name. Just that. We didn't reply. At 6, Leo posted his homework. Based on transfers and the spreadsheet, there's €1,310 in over-collection not accounted for. Not including the restaurant gap. Tom, please send back to each person according to the amounts you logged. Silence for a few minutes, and then that particular brand of denial where you talk about everything except the thing in front of you. How hard it is to coordinate people. How nobody ever appreciates the effort. How humiliating this was. How we're ruining a friendship over small money. He sprinkled in a few jabs about new business owners who suddenly think they're CFOs, which made Leo snort out loud. Nobody bit. People just started DMing him their IBANs and then, in the group, marking a simple received if anything came back. Green ticks. A few. Then nothing, then a handful more, round numbers that weren't right, like he'd skimmed his own skimming. You could feel the temperature in the chat drop into that place where no jokes land. He called my husband again after 9. My husband put it on speaker and we listened to the sound of a person running out of room. Excuses that contradicted other excuses. You know me followed by this is why I don't do anything for anyone. My husband said only one thing, and he said it evenly. You told us dinner was optional. You used the bag refund to pay dinner, and then you asked for dinner again. Return what isn't yours, and then we can talk. Click. 2 days passed without an explosion. Instead, there was the quieter kind. His girlfriend, ex-girlfriend now, came by with a small box and handed my husband the fancy tequila bottle he brought to our pool party. It was from your cabinet, she said, half smiling. I found the receipt in a drawer. It was. The shop name and date were right there. I didn't know whether to laugh or throw the thing in the sink. We decided to do neither. We opened it with the IVF couple that weekend after they told their parents. 8 weeks and 3 days now. They were careful and happy in that cautious way that looks like you're carrying a miracle on a spoon. We clinked little glasses very softly, like noise could jinx it. On Sunday morning, Mara sent a photo to the group, a pile of luxury shopping bags, Gucci, Louis, Hermes, flattened and stacked by her trash bin. Found at school in the lost and found, she wrote. Kids love them. But let's not pretend a bag is a gift. It made everyone laugh in that relieved way laughter sometimes feels like a decision. Around lunch, 2 more transfers pinged in for people. Very precise amounts this time, like someone finally did math. Leo messaged me privately to say the spreadsheet still didn't balance, but he was done being the accountant of someone else's mess. We go back to skipping the hat, he wrote, and then he sent a picture of his kid with jam on his face, because life goes on and jam is sticky. The last little stone dropped on Tuesday. A new chat popped up, just me, my husband, and a number we didn't have saved. It was Tom. He asked for a sit down to clear the air. He wanted it at that same beach restaurant. Of course he did. My husband said no, gently. Coffee in a public place near us, if he wanted. He typed, figures, and left it at that. I thought I'd feel vindicated. I didn't. I felt the way you feel when you tidy a room you've been avoiding. Lighter, a little angry at the time it took, and weirdly sleepy. That evening, our daughter insisted on a special dinner which, in her world, means pancakes for dinner and cutting them with the star-shaped cookie cutter, syrup in a tiny jug like a hotel. The table was sticky again. We ate on paper napkins. My husband set his phone face down. The house was quiet, the kind where the only sound is knives on plates and a child narrating her pancake's doomed journey to her mouth. It felt like the right kind of rich. Update 5. Summer does this thing in our city where it turns every sidewalk into a dining room. Long tables, mismatched chairs, someone's aunt bringing out a dish you can't pronounce but tastes like childhood. Mara texted that morning, bring cutlery and 2 chairs, I've got the rest. We went with a bowl of cherries and a tart we pretended was homemade and wasn't. The IVF couple came late with a jar of lemonade that looked like the sun. It felt easy again. No hats, no envelopes. Just forks clinking and kids skidding scooters between legs. Around sunset, my phone buzzed with a link from Mara. No preface. Just a Vinted profile. The photo was bad, flash on, evening indoors, that yellow light that makes everything look tired, but the bag was unmistakable. Gucci Marmon, black, the little double G's like a smug smile. The description read gifted, wrong color, never used, no lowball. Another swipe and I was looking at a balcony I knew. The chipped blue planter in the corner, the view down to the tram stop with the graffiti on the wall. He hadn't even moved the laundry rack in the background. Sold 2 days ago for €980. I didn't reply. I passed the phone to my husband. He looked at it, then at me, then at the cherries like he needed to anchor himself in something that wasn't stupid. Across the table, Leo's phone lit. Then Mara's. Then 3 more. Listings stacked like dominoes. Hermes flip-flops, wrong size. A pair of men's sunglasses duplicate gift. And at the bottom, my personal favorite, premium tequila, unopened, warehouse sample. I had to put the phone face down so I wouldn't laugh the kind of laugh that makes you ruin dinner. The street didn't notice. Someone opened a second bottle of wine with a key. A dog tried to steal a baguette. At 9, the Bluetooth speaker died in a very dramatic fade out and everybody clapped anyway. By the time we got home, the profile was gone. Either he deleted it or it was reported into the void. It didn't matter. The screenshots were in the new chat like little postcards from the obvious. Mara wrote, I'm done playing detective, and then sent a picture of her sink full of corn cobs, as if to say real life is sticky and we have to wash things. The next day, the universe pinged again. Hi Mara, this is Luis from Beach Restaurant. We have a dispute on a charge filed by Tom, last name, says the dinner was fraudulent. You were the reservation holder. Can you confirm your attendance and head count? Attached was a PDF. The same invoice she'd already wrangled, €2,180, itemized right down to the fancy water. There's a special silence reserved for reading a message that tells you exactly what you already knew but hoped wasn't true. Mara forwarded it to the chat with a simple I'll respond. That's all. No fire. Just fact. Tom, like he had a radar for consequences, called my husband within the hour, didn't ask how we were. Went straight in. People sell things all the time, he said, like the sky had always been that color. Money's fluid. I was managing flow. You all act like adults until a spreadsheet shows up and suddenly you're auditors. He called it a witch hunt. He called us small. He called Mara a teacher like it was an insult. My husband said, "You filed a fraud claim for a dinner you organized and attended," and then let the sentence hang until it fell on the floor between them. Tom said nothing. Then he hung up. He asked for a coffee again 2 days later. He wanted to explain the mechanics. We met him in a quiet place near the park because I wanted to look at trees while a person tried to convince me that black was green. He arrived 10 minutes late with that big wristwatch you buy when you want to feel like a person who has big wristwatch problems. He didn't sit, he arranged himself. "I kept afloat," he said, like he was unveiling a magic trick. "I front things. Deposits. The randoms who forget their wallet. It evens out over time if nobody goes rogue. Then you two announce austerity and the system collapses." He smiled. He tried to make eye contact with me the way a salesperson does. He took out a folder, paper, actual paper, and pushed it across the table like a prop. There were agreements he wanted us to sign. To confirm no further claims. My husband didn't touch it. He said, "No," like a full sentence. Tom's face did that thing a face does when it rehearsed 3 outcomes and got a 4th. He tried soft next. He said he'd lost a deposit on a villa for a surprise that never happened. He said he'd sort everyone out as a gesture if we would just help bridge. He actually used the word bridge about money that wasn't his. There's a point in these conversations where you can choose whether you want to be the person who tries to fix the story or the person who stands up and leaves the room. We stood. We paid for our coffees. I left the paper on the table and didn't look back. He didn't follow us out. The restaurant sent Mara a thank you later, short, polite. Dispute closed. The air felt cleaner after that in a way that isn't dramatic unless you've been breathing somebody else's exhaust for a while. The friend group did what friend groups do, it reshaped itself without a speech. Small dinners. A park day where somebody brought a kite that never flew but looked optimistic. The IVF couple hit 12 weeks. We sat with them in a waiting room that smelled like antiseptic and lemon hand gel while the tech printed photos that will live on fridges for decades. We didn't toast. We ate pretzels in the hallway and cried in that silly, leaky way that embarrasses no one because love is louder than embarrassment. On Saturday, we had people over again. Breakfast for dinner because our daughter insists pancakes make the world right side up. I let her pour the batter, which was both a mistake and exactly perfect. Syrup on elbows, jam in hair. Someone left their sweater. Someone else left their glass, lip print like a stamp. The house looked like people had been happy inside it. At 11, my husband's phone blinked with a Revolut request from Tom. €27. 40. The note said pro-rated gas from last winter. I stared at it until it felt like a joke I wasn't smart enough to get. My husband declined it. The app asked if he wanted to block future requests. He tapped yes. There was no pop, no confetti. Just a little grayed out button that meant the conversation was finally over on our end. Update 6. The first 1-star review landed on a Tuesday while I was making coffee I shouldn't have at 4 in the afternoon. Unprofessional. Think they're CFOs. No name. No detail. Just that little puncture wound under our business listing with a profile picture of a sunset and a handle that looked like. The random name generator lost interest. I took a screenshot, sent it to my husband with a peach emoji because sometimes you have to laugh at being called a fruit, and then to the group. Mara sent back a string of scissors. Leo replied 5 minutes later with a link to a brand new Instagram account, City. Events. Curated. The grid was our lives. Our pool floaties, Mara's picnic blankets, the long table in the street from last weekend, cropped so you couldn't see faces, captions like we make, memories seamless. A line in the bio, deposits handled so you don't have to. It felt like seeing your own bedroom in an estate agent listing while you were still in the bed. Mara wrote the way she sends a note home with a child who's bitten someone. Firm. Please remove any photos featuring minors and any images taken by us. No psychodrama. 10 minutes later, the page blocked her. The screenshots were already in our chat. Leo sent one more message and tagged his friend who works at a place where buttons get pushed for a living. By dinner, the account was gone. The review evaporated too, quietly, the way these things do when you send the right nouns to the right inbox. That should have been it, but summer is generous with the chances it gives fools. Saturday was the school fete. Bunting like a cheerful hangover, a raffle for a bicycle nobody wants but everyone buys tickets for out of respect for the bicycle. Our daughter had her face turned into a butterfly with glitter that will be in our sheets until Christmas. I was at the bake sale table trading coins for slices of cakes that looked like they were baked in ovens that also house shoes when I saw the Hive's vest. He'd pinned a lanyard to it and everything. He had a clipboard, which is a costume. Who's on float? He asked, breezy, to nobody particular and everybody at once. The PTA chair is the sort of woman who can move a piano by staring at it. We use sealed tins, she said, and tapped the tape. He smiled like he'd expected applause. Right, but I can centralize it so, no, she said, and picked up a tray of sausage rolls like she was lifting a shield. He stood there on the edge of it, beaming at the air, then melted away when a little boy in a Spider-Man suit body slammed his shin. We left after we'd lost our daughter to a ring toss and my husband had been roped into being the person who manages a sticky bottle of ketchup. The house was cold in that perfect way an old building can be on a hot day. We dumped bags, ate a piece of fudge that tasted like a bad idea, and my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hi, this is Luis from the beach restaurant," he said, and my whole inside laughed because the universe truly has a favorite playlist. "We just wanted to confirm a reservation under your husband's name for next Thursday? It's a large table, we'll need the deposit today." He gave the time, the number of people, the special request for cake service and sparklers. It was the exact shape of something we used to do. I put it on speaker. My husband looked at me. "We didn't make that," he said. "Please cancel." Luis sighed the sigh of a man who's tired of paper cutouts pretending to be people. "It keeps happening," he said. "We've put a note on your names. If you are coming, you call me directly." He was kind. I wanted to knit him a small sweater for his patience. That evening, the ex-girlfriend texted me a photo of a moving truck with those blue straps that look like giant seatbelts. "New lease signed," she wrote, the kind of message that feels like a person stepping into a room with light in it. Then, another photo, a stack of folded bank statements with the corner torn off neatly, timestamp transfers to names I knew and names I didn't. "I'm sending these to myself," she wrote. "Not to him, not to you. Just to me." So I remember it was real. On impulse, I sent her a picture of our daughter asleep on the sofa with a sticker still stuck to her cheek. "Real," I wrote. She hearted it. The house was quiet in the way it gets right before a storm or an early bedtime. Monday brought the most expensive email I've ever laughed at. An invoice from an address at a domain that sounded like a fancy bottle of water. Event Float Solutions. Services rendered January, July. Coordination. Collection. Cash flow management. €1,460. The exact number at the bottom of that spreadsheet. He'd even added VAT like he was a registered business and not a man with a printer and a talent for monologues. My husband forwarded it to Leo and then wrote back, "No. That was it. No dear sir, no please. Just no." 2 minutes later, a reply, "Consider this formal notice." It takes a certain kind of optimism to think a man who can't wrangle his own bank app is going to drag you into court for a fake bill. My husband set up an email rule that sent anything from that domain straight into a folder marked compost. The IVF couple hit 14 weeks and invited us over for soup because everyone's anxious stomach seems to agree that soup feels kind. They brought out a little box of neutral-colored baby clothes like the beginning of a weather forecast. We sat on their balcony and watched the night trains with the windows lit like little moving dioramas. For half an hour, nobody's phone buzzed. When it finally did, it was a message from Leo. "Heads up," he wrote. "Got a call from a venue about a deposit dispute filed by someone who used my name. Gave them my actual signature." Christ. He sent a picture of a scrawl that looked like his only in the way all signatures look like signatures. Mara's reply was the textual equivalent of taking your earrings off. "I'm going there tomorrow," she wrote. "With cookies. People talk to you when you bring cookies." People did. The manager recognized the name like a bad song on the radio. "He's blacklisted," he said. He calls it a misunderstanding. We call it a trend. They put notes on our names at 2 other places as well, politely, with an apology, like they were sorry to deliver bad news on behalf of a storm. I walked home that afternoon with a paper bag of peaches warm from being near the oven and that weird combination of relief and fury you get when you dodge something you didn't see coming. There were graceless flares of petty in between. A request from an unknown number in the business WhatsApp. Could we sponsor a friend's birthday activation with branded gift bags? I deleted it without replying. A Canva-looking cease and desist landed in my inbox with our name spelled wrong. He tried to add my husband to a new group chat named August Plans and got the automated message back that he couldn't because we'd blocked him. There's a small, perfect satisfaction in software being your bouncer. On a small and human note, his mother, whom I've met twice and who wears her hair like she's always about to go dancing, sent me a Facebook message I only saw because I checked the requests for once. "I don't need gossip," she wrote. "I just need to know if he is okay." I sat with that for a long time in the dark kitchen with the open fridge like a tiny theater and wrote back the only thing that felt true. "He is not my okay to manage," and then, because the world is complicated, "he's alive." She sent back a thank you and a rose. I cried at the sink and then finished the piece of cold pizza I'd forgotten I was holding. Life is ridiculous and salty. The last ripple was a quiet one. A brown envelope with window plastic arrived for my husband from his bank. Inside was a friendly letter about unusual activity on his Revolut, a handful of requests from numbers tied to a SIM card that had recently been reported in association with disputed transactions. A list of the numbers. One matched the text that had asked for the streaming login weeks ago. Another was the same that had sent the €27.40 gas request, which would be funny if it weren't so stupid. He forwarded it to Leo and Mara with a shrug emoji and then filed it under the paid bills with a piece of tape so the corner wouldn't catch and tear every time we opened the drawer. The friend group continued to do that magic trick where it remains a friend group without announcing itself as one. We turned someone's birthday into an early morning coffee at a bakery that only takes cash and only makes 3 kinds of pastry. Mara brought napkins from her classroom with dinosaurs on them. We ate standing up on the pavement because there were no seats. The city did that thing where it feels like a person, warm, slightly impatient, completely itself. On the way home, we stopped for tomatoes the color of traffic lights and a loaf of bread that was heavier than my daughter when she was born. In the evening, my husband made tomato toast the way his grandmother taught him. Rub a clove of garlic on hot bread, crush the tomatoes with your thumb, salt like you're the ocean. Our daughter decided tomato seeds are baby tomatoes and started rescuing them with a spoon into a cup. I wiped hands and faces and counters and thought about floats and hats and jars and all the different ways people try to make their lives feel richer, and which ones actually work. My phone buzzed on the table. A new number with no name. Coffee? It read. No punctuation, no context. I looked at my husband. He looked at me. I put the phone in the fruit bowl under the bananas and we ate our toast while it buzzed itself out of battery in the dark. The house smelled like garlic and warm bread and someone somewhere was playing a trumpet badly. It felt, again, like the right kind of full.